Hey guys, just going over some ideas of BTC and potential trade entries we can get next week. So I want to start off with the 4-day range that we formed here in BTC, 85k here, 85.2 and 93.4k here, right? Shit. Idiot. Okay, there you go. Okay, so within that range, you formed a value area. This is your value area here. Your value area is 86.8 and 90.1, right? And it's overlapping with your previous weekly value area, right? So far what we've kind of seen here is you've seen a weekly open below the below the range value area high. And effectively, what you kind of want to see here is if price is bullish here, like directly bullish here, right, into the London session and whatnot, you kind of want to see continued momentum here, a spike below weekly open, so kind of like an SFP. I'll just redraw that. You'll see an SFP of that low there, the spike below the weekly value, sorry, the weekly open. Continued strength above that range value area high into the into the previous weekly. From here, it'll be okay if you get some sort of flush again, right? But you want to see the weekly open hold here, and then from there you want to see continued momentum above these relative equal highs into the imbalance here, and then again continued strength above here, and you're going to a new all-time high, right? But then let's say if price does get like a strong impulse right now, and we end up committing a failed auction here at the previous weekly value area high here, right? But basically price just ends up, just deviating, doing something like that. Then you get like a weak retest of the weekly open, move down. You'd aim for like a reversion of this entire range, right? So this is your weekly value area, 91k down to 85k, right? Pretty wide value area, so these levels tend to get respected, right? But if you get the SFP here at 91k, and then you get the rejection, you get acceptance back in, you'd look for a reversion of the full range, right? So then the first level you'd want to see is 88k here at the weekly VWAP. From there, you'd kind of expect that like price would hold, and then you get a move back up into the weekly open, any sort of reclaim for the weekly open, then you target the previous weekly val here again. But like I said, like if you get another SFP here, then again that's bearish. But then if you get a reclaim of the weekly open, you'd get a continuation back up, right? So yeah, you'd look for longs here, and then you'd look for like, I don't know, either a TP here or like add more size up in your long. But then the one caveat here though is that, let me just hide this. The one caveat here though is with the previous weekly VWAP range, you've mainly traded inside the upper bracket, which means that like when price does, let's say we reject the highs here and we go back down here, it's going to be like a grind up into the previous weekly value area high here, right? But then if we do lose the previous weekly value area, sorry, the previous weekly view up here, it's going to be a quick flush down, because like again, it's just untraded levels, it's just old lows here, right? So you'd kind of get like a sweep of that low, you'd aim for like an SFP of this low here, and then again, like from here, I think it was 86 point, I'll just redraw the value area again. So then, yeah, let's say you lose the view up here, you'd aim for like a sweep of this low here. If price like holds that low, or like I don't know, takes out both these lows, and then price ends up SFPing again at the value area low of that range, then you get a continuation back down into the previous weekly value area low, and then from here you'd want to see a hold of that low. But then the one caveat here though is that if price does hold and you get like a reversion back up into that range value area here at 86.8k-ish, this region here, if price does reject from here, then your next level would be like a continuation downward, right, into the developing quarterly value area high here, which would then be like your next like contextual level for you to trade, right? Again, the deviation of the previous quarterly value area high lines up with the single print here at 83k, right? 82.8 to 83k. And then from there, this here would be my ideal entry for spot here, right? For me to reaccumulate spot and open up some purple longs on BTC up to 100k, etc., etc., right? So the idea is that like Bitcoin is rotational until proven otherwise, right? I'll get onto the TPO as well. Let me just get rid of these drawings. So basically, you can kind of see the 4-day range here forming, right? Where you have overlapping value areas here, and you've got quite big, profiles here as well, which means that you've got very clean data to trade, right? So we'll merge the profiles together. I'll just open a highlight on the range. All right, so basically right now what we're seeing is on the weekend here we formed, I mean, again, like on the weekend here we just hung around the upper area outside of value area, so that's why this isn't part of the composite. And Sunday as well, like it wasn't like with this break here as well. Unless we get another couple days where we trade inside the value area here, I'm not gonna add these in yet. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, where effectively you have your range value area high here and your value area low there, and you have, let's say, this low hit breaks. Again, there's not, you got decent excess there, but if that low breaks, you'd look for the you'd look for the high volume node here, and you'd look for the single print here, right, as like your big liquidity magnets. And then something else to talk about is, well, I mean, back to the crux of what I was saying was, you're at the value area high here, right, at 90k. Effectively, if price ends up, reclaiming, so let's say we get a flush or you get some sort of reclaim there, and then you'd look for a break above this value area high here into the into these nodes here, right? Into these pockets of volume here, and then any sort of like slow grind or like hold here, you'd look for continuation into a new all-time high, right? But then if price gets flush down to that 88k area, and then price ends up rejecting, then you'd look for continuation down, right? Wait, sorry, I drew that incorrectly. So you got your VWAP at 88.2, and you have the mean of the range here at 87.8, right? So let's say price ends up, flushing down into the VWAP, and then you get like some sort of price action like that, and then price goes back up into the value area high here. If that ends up rejecting, then you'd look for complete rotation of this entire range, right? And the second, a more simpler one would be if price, just ends up, spiking out of the value area high here of the previous weekly, right? And then price just ends up like, falling back into the range. You'd look for shorts inside that overlapping area here, inside that overlapping value area high here, right? But this sort of price action where you break above the range value area high and you SFP or failed auction at the previous weekly, and then you fall back into the range, that's kind of like textbook, right? And then alternatively, your other, so let's say we rotate back down. If price rotates back down kind of like this, and it reclaims your, let me just get rid of this. Just uglifying my screen. So obviously you'd look for the longs here, right? At the MPOC. But then if you get like, a rotation into the low of the range, right? And you get your deviation of your range value area low here and your previous weekly, right? You want to see a reclaim kind of like that, and then momentum, and then you either want to long one of your retests here, or I don't know, you could find like a naked entry here. I mean, but I'd look for confirmation, right? If I was longing. But then again, like if price, it just ends up, just SFP, let's say price does get the reclaim of the value area low here, and you get retest that MPOC here, right? So the POC of that 4-day, and then price gets capped by it, or like let's say price just gets capped by the value area low here, then you'd look for continuation downward into this single print region here, and then from there you'd kind of just swing it, right? But the main caveat here though is that price is just range bound at the minute until proven otherwise, and it's likely that on Monday we just end up spending more time at the higher of the range, and then Tuesday we get the expansion of the full range, right? So 86k 90K, and then from there, you kind of get like this. This then becomes like an 8 day, 7 day range, and then the issue with that is that once you do break out of like these like longer terms, like these 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., etc., etc. day ranges, you tend to respect the breakout up or down. So basically, if price does break out, you don't want to fade this because this is just going to keep going higher. And conversely, if price does break lower, don't be a retard and just try and find longs, right? If this breaks out of the value area low, you're going to be targeting these high volume nodes and like the single print here. But yeah, aside from that, whilst price is in this value, you want to treat it as range bound until proven otherwise. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. I'll drop a Ethereum and altcoin update tomorrow. Well, I mean later today. But yeah, thanks guys.